Welcome to this demonstration / short tutorial on how to monitor Docker containers with Nagios Core using Almond Monitor. As you can see, I have a Nagios server installed here. This is a container from JSON Rivers with some small modifications. One of the modifications is that I've added a few commands, and most importantly, check how are you. For most of you guys that have no idea what is how are you, I will just briefly tell you that Almond Monitor, my monitoring project, uses two different services. One is called Almond, and Almond is collecting data. And How Are You is a service that kind of publishes that data through various means. And this plugin, which is a Python script, check how are you, will call an API in how are you to retrieve information. So if we look further in this Nagios installation and we look at hosts, we can see that apart from localhost, we have 4 more monitoring objects or hosts. And if we go to services, we can see that they have a bunch of Nagios plugins running on them. Now, these 4 servers here are Docker containers running on the same server where I am right now. And they use the Check How Are You plugin to collect the data. And to show you how the integration works a little bit, I just walk into one of these, it's in this one, app01. For this container, I have a web interface for Almond, the Almond admin tool, installed. And if I log into it, I can see which plugins are running here. And of course, I can see the status and everything on this particular, in this particular container. And I will just add another check, and I will use check dummy, which is easy to use, and we're in a demo right now, so I use check dummy, a dummy check. I will make it a critical with a 2. I can test it, I get a critical answer, and I can add it. So I've added this plugin here to a check dummy in this container called app01 in Nagios. If I go on status here, I can see it has been running. I have a critical alert here on check dummy. So what about Nagios? We cannot see that check in here yet, but my integration will see if there are changes on the different containers and will eventually add it. If I just reload it here, you can see it found a dummy check in pending state. I could even go further as to start a whole new container. It's up here, and it will eventually come in here too, since the integration will see, okay, we have a new container being deployed in this environment, and I want to have information about that one too. It's not in here yet. Meanwhile, let's just go into the Nagios container. So I do a docker exec on Nagios 4 with bash. So I'm inside here. So the integration in itself have a small configuration file, which we'll briefly look at. It's in etc almond integration conf, and these are the most important configurations. And we'll start with this URL file, which is in the same directory here. So we can just do a cat on etc almond integration Nagios URLs conf. And this file will tell which how are use, because you can have more than one APIs that the integration wants to connect to. Now I'm on a single server, a Mac, and in a single Docker network right now, but the port 8085 is used by how are you. So if I curl host Docker internal on port 8085, look for status, I will get some status information from the API showing the status of all the containers running in its environment. As you can see in Nagios, it's found the web app 2, a new container being deployed in this environment. And if you go on services, it's working on it, it's pending. So as you can see, the integration will catch if I do changes like adding plugins or adding or removing containers, and it will update Nagios with it. If I have more, let's say, for instance, I want to start another container here. I start Almond 9, which is the basic Almond container that you can find on Docker Hub. So I started it. It runs on port 8015. So I can go to localhost 8015, and I most likely get an Almond interface here. But this second container, or the last container I started on port 8015, is not part of the environment which the API that I use here is looking at. But we could add it. So if I go to Nagios for Docker exec, of course. Sorry, I'm tired today. Nagios for bash etc Almond integration Nagios URLs, and I just add, I want to look at Docker internal 8015 2. Now I need to restart the integration to read that, and I use supervisor for managing services on containers. So I stop and I start it, and I also quickly see if I can tail integration here. I think it's actually already finished. So I would have here yet another server coming from another FQDN in my integration, loaded into Nagios. So basically, with this integration, with Almond running on containers, with the integration, you can have all your containers being monitored as if they were a VMware server or a real server, with the same Nagios plugins that you want to use on servers that not use container environments. And that was pretty much what I wanted to show you today. I'm happy to answer questions. Have a good day.